and call Mike Davidson to the table. And there are no Part A reports, and I'm assuming that Councillor Ali Jones and Pauline Cotter are moving and seconding. Thank you. I'll hand over to you, Mike.
Thank you. The meeting minutes are pretty straightforward. We did get the correspondence back in from EQC in regards to our letter that we sent out to different organisations in terms of the flooding issues that are happening to our ward, which I believe have all had an email sent for that correspondence, and all the other correspondence we've also received from those organisations. Is there any questions? We still haven't got one from the DHB. So obviously there's quite a big health risk in those areas with the amount of sewer coming up during the floods, so we're still waiting for their response. Yeah,
that's. I mean, I certainly want to commend your community board. I mean, it's really. I mean, the councillors and yourself and the wider team, you know, have been really good in terms of fronting up with the local community and supporting them through an incredibly challenging and difficult time. I know we're all looking forward to the report that will be coming to council next Monday. It's been a very challenging time frame we've put on the task force. There's a rumour going around that they've called themselves the stormtroopers, but it is a challenging time frame, and I really respect how the community board has worked really closely with staff and the wider community. It is an incredibly difficult time. So, Ali, did you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that that is on. There's been some really good feedback from the community directly as well. I mean, I know from having dealt with insurance and EQC stuff that you can be in situations like this where there are really angry people and it becomes really emotional. But what we found, particularly in the sessions at the weekend, that there was a real desire to actually really engage and ask positive questions and offer constructive criticism where required, but constructive options. And I don't know whether Mike has got anything to say about that too, but certainly Jo Byrne, I think, deserves a huge amount of well, she needs to be acknowledged and was by the group in the afternoon. And I think in some ways we're fortunate because of the work that she does. We can engage with that network that she's already worked so hard to establish, and it makes it a lot easier to engage. But we're already getting emails back from people who have seen council staff working on the drains and the streams, maintenance on the street. So we're getting that immediate engagement back from the residents, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Phil.
Mike, I was just going to discuss with you in relation to item 7, with the Cycleways project. You requested the update, and certainly I was happy to go along when that was provided with the staff. It's on page 27. Yes. What I just wanted to ask you about is and I felt that the meeting was useful in terms of, I guess, basically clarifying some of the myths that had arisen around the timing of cycleways. And I wondered if it might be helpful, though, if community board members already receive, for example, the council press releases on those things. Do you know if community board members do? Because as councillors we do. Because there's been a number of media outcomes information that's gone out to some elected members. I'm just wondering if that also went to community board members and if that would assist debunking some of the myths.
We definitely get some of the releases, but I'd have to actually see which ones you're getting to actually compare.
Well,
Yeah, I think I think you're probably referring to a particular member of the community board who's taken a particular position, but may not have been so well informed about what work is being undertaken.
That's right.
So, would it be useful for your community board if we arranged a specific briefing on cycleways?
We had the briefing. It was very informative. Obviously, we do have board members that were concerned with some of the aspect, but I think it's very
has it answered the questions for the board? For the board, I mean,
yes.
we're very keen to make sure that there is really close engagement with the community boards on matters like this. I mean, there's a subject around the cycleways, which is not in your area, that was brought to my attention yesterday, and that is that people often don't think of the tech parks as places where people want to get to on cycles, but actually it is. Yeah. It's an ideal endpoint for a cycleway, and I don't know that that's been factored into the routes as well. So it's certainly something that I've undertaken to raise with your committee, Phil. So
Sorry, Mike. No, you go.
I think a couple of things that sort of came out of it was a time frame. So obviously we accept it's going to be a longer duration, but sort of in the stages when things are going to happen, so we sort of know when the Papanui parallel is going to happen. And also in terms of the slow street, the board wasn't in favour of slow street and was more in favour of a mixed use street for those areas.
Right.
Just
Ellie?
further to that, the briefings are great, but I think what needs to precede the briefings is that the community board members are part of that communication loop.
Right.
And unless I'm missing something, there's no reason why they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bigger issue here too in pulling all those streams together, and also looking at texting for immediacy. Not everyone is tied to their emails every 5 minutes like we are. Community board members might be, in that group. So there's a bigger issue around effective comms with community board members, and I think we should look at that.
Yeah. Yep. No, well, that's a really positive solution to that, Ellie. Thank you.
And also echoing that, with the meetings we had on Saturday, I think 2 members of the community board did not get those emails because they didn't read their emails, so they had no knowledge of the Saturday discussions.
So a text saying, look at your email, important email coming.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a really simple but effective solution. So thank you. But I mean, because I kind of wanted to go back to the flooding, because there's been the focus on the Flockton area. And obviously a lot of the learnings out of that will be applicable across other areas as well. What I think I've really liked about the task force approach is that it's multidisciplinary, and I think that may be what has been missing before in terms of our overarching solution or approach to solutions across the city. I think that it's really given us a model that will be very powerful, I think, for future issues that arise. Yep.
On that, Leanne, I'm just looking back at the last weekend, and there seemed to be, and I don't want this to be negative, but an expectation that everybody in a very wide area gets one of those leaflets dropped in their boxes, and there's got to be a demarcation point somewhere, and that was all done in just one day, so you couldn't obviously do every house. My recommendation is to other councillors and other wards where this is going to be replicated to get their communities to strengthen their own communication lines and get the information out either online or somehow to people, because the council staff can't get to everybody, and that's the only kind of weak point I can see in that is the community expectation for feedback. But generally the numbers in the afternoon were huge compared to the morning, weren't they? Because the word got out and people just loved being able to tell their own story. And the number of stories was just incredible, and obviously we still haven't heard all of them, but there's a lot of economic impact too, which is quite eye-opening as well. So it was really successful, and I want to commend the staff for giving up their time on the weekend, especially Saturday, which was glorious, and sitting inside, but it was well worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tim?
Just want to say it's great for us to replicate what you've done in our area, the Heathcote catchment, and also parts of Hoon Hay, etc., who are becoming desperate with regards to this. It is a really big issue, as we're fully aware. So thank you for the work that you guys have done, and to the staff as well.
Yep. Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very much.